And just rising above the haze in the distance 12 miles away, the peaks of the Isle of Man start coming into sight. Been an amazing sail. Slow, but can't have everything. Got caught up going in circles, waiting for traffic in the shipping lanes to pass. But glorious, clear, starry night. Blooming cold. Sun's out now then. I guess last night was a really good reminder of how amazing night sailing can be. The absolutely fantastic stars, bioluminescence, shooting stars, and just missing dolphins. Haven't been any dolphins on this leg at all yet. Well, we're approaching Douglas Bay. It's a little misty and a little rolly out here. The wind has died off. There's only about 4 or 5 knots of wind and a knot of current against us, so not really enough to push us along, so having to use the engine to help as well. And we're anchored in Douglas Bay just as the rain arrived. Perfect timing. Now to have something to eat and get some sleep. So we're safely on anchor in Douglas Bay on the Isle of Man. It was an okay sail yesterday. Overnight was fantastic. Coming in here, there was a lot of current coming in the other direction, so I had to use the engine a little bit, only for the last hour or so, but even so I would have rather not. However, after such a long night and day sailing, it was kind of nice to get in here, make something to eat and get some sleep. So there we go, we're in Douglas Bay. And today's a work day, so I won't be going anywhere today. What a gorgeous evening. And I have company. Well, it's 5:30 in the morning. Time to get the anchor up and get underway from the Isle of Man to Scotland. Hoping to be at the tip of the Mull of Galway by this afternoon. Let's see how we get on. No wind at all. It's a couple of hours until high water, and we're just drifting with the current at 2 knots down the coastline at the moment. Mainsail is doing absolutely nothing. The benefit of drifting with the current, of course, is it's insanely peaceful. Time to make a cup of tea, sit down and relax for a bit until the wind fills in. drifting along. My drift setup is quite simple really. We're quite close to shore, but auto helm is on standby. It's not doing anything. The wheel is a quarter turn to starboard and the mainsail is set centered and tight. So if it does start to suddenly generate some power, the boat will turn out to sea until the power disappears, and then we drift again. Worst that can happen is we end up going in circles. However, I do tend to find that she likes to drift side on in the current. Right now we've turned, because the sail is generating a little bit of power, we've got 6 knots of wind according to the instruments. Doesn't feel like that down here. Maybe at the top of the mast we have. And as if by magic, there's enough wind to sail. Just. I think when we get past this headland, we might get a bit more wind. Fingers crossed. Yay, 12 knots of wind. And that is the little town of Laxey. Lovely place to visit. Went there, spent a couple of days there with Sylvie last year. You can go and visit the Laxey Wheel, which is now open. It wasn't when we went. And you can take a tram or walk up to the top of Snaefell, which allows you a view of England, Wales, Ireland and Scotland, all from one place. Well, as long as it's not cloudy like it is today. And goodbye to the Isle of Man. Next stop, Scotland. Woohoo! Just had to put a reef in both sails. The wind was getting up to 25 knots for a while there. Seems to have dropped back to about 20 now, but better safe than sorry. So we're just going over the most eastern side of Bahama Bank. So named because it's like the Bahamas out here. I'm expecting it to get a little bit choppy as we go over. The depth will go down to about 8 meters. So should be a fun ride for 20 minutes or so. It's 12:30 and I spy with my little eye something beginning with S. Can you guess who it is? Scotland! We're just coming up to Burrow Head. Things are already a lot calmer, the waves are a lot smaller. Now we're coming into the lee of the land. The wind is down to around 20 knots now. I think it peaked at around 25. I'm not sure about the gusts, maybe 30, low 30s. So it's been an absolutely cracking sail so far. I'm just going to get across the bay and anchor off the tip of the Mull of Galway. And I can settle down and have something nice to eat and a cup of tea. I shouldn't have said the wind had dropped as we got close to land. It's now increased, blowing 30 now. At least the sea state is gentle. Really hammering along now, 8.5 knots. Feels a bit weird getting so close to Scotland and then tacking and turning away again. Well, after 5 failed attempts to anchor, I've had to pick up sticks and find another anchorage. The wind is coming from due north, so I couldn't anchor where I wanted to originally anyway. Bloody weather forecasts. And the wind is now over 30 knots, gusting up to 40, which absolutely was not forecast. Anyway, the nearest anchorage is 10 miles away, so I'm having to motor sail upwind to get there before it goes dark, hopefully. It's about 2.5 to 3 hours to get there, and we've got about 2.5 to 3 hours of daylight left. Pain in the ass. After such a lovely day sailing as well. What a bummer. Anyway, it is what it is. Watching out for lobster pots now. Well, the end to yesterday was interesting. I couldn't get into the anchorage I'd originally intended to use because the wind had shifted round to due north by the end of the day. So I tried to anchor on the northern shore just above it, and over and over again just picked up weed, couldn't get the anchor to set. Given it was blowing 25, I really didn't want to take the chance of just putting 60 meters out and sitting on it. So I tried the next anchorage, motored, bashing into heavy waves straight into the wind. Got to the next anchorage, exactly the same. Couldn't get the anchor to set anywhere. So I motored to the next anchorage. By now I've done 3 hours of motoring nearly into near gale force winds some of the time, and finally managed to get the anchor to set on the 3rd attempt here. And I'll just add that both of those anchorages said sand where I was trying to anchor, but lots of weed, lots of stone. Put 60 meters out and didn't pull too hard on the anchor. I didn't need it to be 100% set, just enough that with 60 meters of chain out I'd sit quite happily, which I did. The boat hasn't moved all night, and it hasn't even swung around all night, probably because I was so tired I didn't put the sail in the sail bag. So that's kept the bow pointing into wind, and we've just sat here. And it's lovely now. I'm thinking Probably I will head back down to the original anchorage that I wanted to anchor in during the day today, somewhere around lunchtime when the tide's flowing in the right direction. Anchor up there, see out the small blow that's coming overnight, and then time my departure so I can catch the tides to head up the North Channel. The following 2 days look like they're going to be very light winds. That's the plan. Right now, I'm just going to chill out, have some breakfast. It's 7 a.m. and do some work. Basically, I got here at about 8:30 at night. About an hour of light left, roughly. And had something to eat and went straight to bed. I was absolutely cream crackered. I don't think I filmed any of the last 3 hours, purely because I was just wiped out and fed up. I was definitely asking myself, why the hell am I doing this in those 3 hours? It was howling. The wind was coming from due north. It wasn't supposed to. Not what I needed at the end of the day, really. It would have been nice if the forecast had been accurate. It wasn't that far out. In all honesty, they did say there was a chance there could be spells at 4-6, so I can't be too unkind to the forecasters today. It was supposed to be west or northwest, not north. West or northwest would have been absolutely fine for the anchorage I wanted to go into. I've been there twice last year, and it's a lovely spot. Nice firm holding. But with the wind from the north, just not doable. Would have been being blown onto rocks if things had gone wrong. So, next job is to catch up on all of the messages and emails that I missed yesterday, because I couldn't really work while I was bashing into heavy seas. So, time for a cup of tea and then get the laptop out. I'd just like to add a very personal thank you to Michael and Richard for your generous donations on Ko-fi. Thank you. That money will go towards buying better camera and audio equipment. It's lunchtime. The wind has swung round to the south, so I'm moving to the anchorage at the tip of the Mull of Galway, where I'd originally intended to anchor, but the wind was blowing in the wrong direction yesterday. And then we're perfectly set up to just nip round the corner with the first northward bound tide in the morning. Just got a little bit of head sail out, not in a hurry. Wind's about 10 knots, 12 knots. Nice, lovely, gentle sail. And that's where we're going over there. Only a couple of miles away. I must admit, the last couple of weeks have been pretty hard on me. The weather has been challenging, and then pea soup fog for the night crossing to Holyhead. Mentally it takes its toll. Physically it takes its toll when you're being smashed around, when the boat's being smashed around and you're being smashed around and you can't sleep. It soon starts to get to you, which it did yesterday and this morning. But I mean, look at it now. This is the kind of weather I was expecting at this time of year. The Azores High has finally decided to come and play with us, so fingers crossed it's going to just get better from here on out. I love sailing in these conditions. Who wouldn't? But when you're in big seas and strong winds and you're solo and there's no opportunity to have a break or a rest, it's bloody hard work. It's bloody taxing, and then you're coping with the loneliness as well. because obviously other than conference calls I haven't seen anyone. I haven't stopped anywhere to see anyone, and I probably won't stop anywhere until I get to Stornoway, but we'll see. I wouldn't mind having a look at Tyree if I can get to Tyree and have an explore on the island. That would be nice. So I'll get into the anchorage and do some work, maybe do a little video editing, because that's the other thing that suffers when I'm sailing, pushing myself to sail even when I'm knackered. You drop things, and the video editing has been dropped. I've got about 4 days worth of footage that I've compiled that needs to be turned into a video that's worth watching, assuming they are worth watching. I'm sorry if you don't like them. Hopefully you do. Isn't this spectacular though? I've just done my afternoon conference call. Thought I'd show you what's going on down below. Dinner on the go in the slow cooker. I'll eat well tonight. Batteries are full and the wind is from the south, which is perfect. I should have a quiet night in the anchorage. Temperature, air temperature that is, not that high. It's nice and warm on the boat though. So there you go. Sailing is just like, well, normal life, but on the move. You've got a job to stay on top of. You've got your hobbies to stay on top of. You've got the cooking and cleaning to stay on top of. And all of that while you're bouncing around. The wind has died off. It's about 5 or 6 knots now, and we've got 2 knots of current pushing us that way. So right now we are ferry gliding into the anchorage over there at about 2 knots. What fun! Love it. 1 mile to go, so not long, half an hour ish, and I can put the sail away, get the anchor down. So this is what I've woken up to this morning. It's gorgeous, and I've got company. There's another boat. Must have arrived while I was asleep. I'll admit I went to bed at 7 o'clock last night and I woke up at 7 o'clock this morning. I obviously needed the sleep. That's a gorgeous day. And the plan is roughly 11 o'clock, be ready to go. The tide turns at 11:50, so I want to be out going round the point as the last of the tide is flowing against me, and pick up the northbound tide out in the North Channel. Wind is going to be different today. It's going to be south first thing, and it's going to veer round to the southwest and then round to the northwest. The timing of those, I'm not going to bother believing the forecast on the timing. We'll see what happens, but it should be light winds, smooth to slight seas, moderate as I get further north. Don't know how far up the channel I will manage to get before the tide turns. I've looked at a few options. There aren't that many really. If the wind swings round to the northwest, then I'd have to go over to Ireland. I think my best bet would be really to keep going. If I'm not making any headway against the current, then that's just the way it is. There is a little back eddy that runs up along the coast of the Mull when the tide's in full swing in the other direction, so I'll try and cut in and catch that if I can. We'll see. We might end up round in the loch near Stranraer. We could end up at the end of the Mull of Kintyre. I'm really not sure. Who knows, we could end up in Mull. But anyway, I think it's going to be a long night, a long day, a long night, and by first light hopefully I will have a better idea of where I'm going to end up.